So I just wanted to talk about burning belly fat because it's something I feel like I've probably struggled with a good part of my whole life, I would say. Because I've always been fairly active, but I've always carried that beer belly. And this year I kind of like really made a commitment to try and, you know, get rid of that once and for all. And I have had quite a bit of success. I've gone from in January, I was actually a size 38 pants waist size, and I'm actually now a 30. Um, I've been a 30 before, a couple of years ago, so I'm 37 now, and I want to say around 28 years old. I had been doing a lot of running, and I dropped to a 30 during that time. But the other thing that happened was my shirt size had gone to basically I was wearing a small. Yeah, I probably looked pretty anorexic at the time, just from running so much. I was doing easily at least 3 miles a day. A couple times a week, or at least once a week, I was bumping it up to like 12 to 15. I was just going on these like crazy marathons. So, yeah, running took its toll on me, so I stopped and cut back on it, drastically. But running has like always been a part of my life. I did cross country, track, and um, went to track and spring track in high school, and not all the way through, but running has always been a big part of my life, and it still is. And I don't go every day, but um, I definitely if I wanted to go 12 miles right now, I could. It's, just kind of like my body's just adapted to it at this point. So, the body's an interesting thing, I would say, in my opinion. And I always like to kind of like document things as I kind of like figure out life, because I hope when I figure something out that I can kind of like pass that on to other people that might be struggling. I don't know. So I just always like to do these videos, um, just to, I don't know, maybe someone will find it useful. But anyway, as far as losing belly fat, um, it's actually a lot simpler than I thought. It just takes kind of a life change, I would say. Um, the other thing is, there's multiple paths to the same destination, I would say, but each path has its own consequence, I would say. Um, so, yeah, I would say that the first thing you want to do is probably throw away the scale, because I will say I have not stepped on a scale, or I don't really pay much attention to it at all. Like, I know I've dropped considerable weight, but um, I just don't think it's good to get focused on the number so much as other factors. For me, I care a lot more about my waist size, what kind of pants are fitting me, and my shirt size. Because a couple of things happen when you drop, well, exercise. So, funny enough to me, I think if I theoretically ran every day, I think my waist size would shrink. I think my upper body size would shrink as well. Um, and whether that matters to you, it's totally up to you. Everyone's different. Um, but I kind of prefer having a larger upper body and a smaller waist size myself. So prior to dropping to 30, when I was like a 36, 38 waist size, I was wearing an XL shirt size. I think at one point I may have actually been teetering on needing a double XL, but whatever. Prior to doing this, I'd been going to the gym a lot, and I'm not the most strong guy out there. I go to the gym and there's tons of guys way stronger and way more intimidating than I am. But I do the curls and the dumbbells and the bench presses and the deadlifting and you know bench, what have you. So anyway, um, the thing is, I've dropped to a 30 waist, and I'm actually still wearing XL. So it's a little looser for sure. Um, but for the most part, I've kind of like maintained my chest size and other facets of my body, and I feel like it's a little more aesthetically pleasing, at least in my opinion. So the way I did that was um, I spent months. So basically, I think I started the end of January, February, March, April. Obviously, I dieted, cut back on my eating. The number one thing I did was I cut out pretty much all fast food. And when I first started, I was like super extreme with it. I only bought food from the supermarket. And basically, the first couple of months, I mean, I was really sticking to the produce aisle, produce department, and, meat section. And yeah, really, I was just eating like vegetables and meats and, that sort of thing. And I guess to an extent, I was pretty much low carbing. Um, and I started losing weight pretty drastically and pretty fast. And basically, one of the main things is walking for me. So basically, I try to do an hour a day. And basically, from my understanding, walking will burn fat and it will burn other things at much less of a rate, like muscle and carbohydrates and sugars and all that. I think the percentage of burning fat is pretty high with walking, whereas with running, you burn fat, but you also burn more calories in general in the same amount of time. And I think the reason for that is running, I think, burns more muscle and burns like carbohydrates, of course, and all that. But I think it burns muscle at a much higher rate. So that's why, like, long term, I feel like you lose like shirt size as you're, losing the weight just from running. So yeah, I did that for quite a while. I wasn't even lifting weights or anything. I had previously been lifting weights pretty heavily prior to that, but for a couple of months there, I was just eating, really, really clean, barely any carbs, and I was just walking a lot. And the difference between a photo I think I took the end of January and like say March, it's like night and day, the difference. Um, so, from there I've made some adjustments, and the uh, the thing is right now, my diet has gotten a little more varied, and I am kind of on a regimen. So, one thing I've really added in was like rices. Like, I try to eat pretty much something different, for every meal for the most part. I eat rice, so I'll eat like whole grain rice, long grain rice, wild rice, whatever. some of the less healthy rices, garden vegetable rice, like all sorts of stuff. Also like vegetables, I get, you know, veggies with like micronutrients and stuff, like, peppers and onions, and, I'll get the garlic and put it in my food, and, um, frozen vegetables are fine. I eat that all the time. And, I try to eat like my meat and stuff, but I don't even eat it as much as I used to. Like I'll have like a main course a day for the most part. Um, I actually eat bread. So I don't know how true this is. Maybe someone can comment below, but I think that um, I don't know. I think bread is pretty important. It's I think what they call a soluble fiber. So basically, it sucks up things, and I think fat, and it can be a means for fat to exit the body. And if you don't eat it, then all sorts of bad things and inflammation can happen. So I personally think bread is very important. Like whole grain, great, but even just regular old bagels, I do that. And grains, like grain cereal, and fiber, all that important stuff. And so yeah, I've kind of like incorporated all that, and that's all pretty much carbs. And something super highly underrated, I think, that I don't think I've really seen too many people talk about, is thyroid function, and um, the metabolic process. I think I've noticed people talking about it more now that I'm kind of like onto it, but it's actually a completely new concept for me. Um, so stimulating your thyroid is what produces digestive enzymes, I guess, and improves your metabolic processes, and um, yeah. So to do that, I mean, I've been eating sushi a couple times a week, seaweed salad, and if that's not a thing, obviously I am making sure to put iodized salt on my meals, because iodine stimulates the thyroid. And yeah, basically, I get these like omega-3 mixed nut packs. Again, that all stimulates the thyroid function. And, obviously, you want your thyroid to be functioning well. Obviously, you can overdo it. People have like hyperthyroidism and, all that. But, there's a balance to everything. But you should look into it, because it's a concept I didn't really ever think of as like a game changer. As you diet, your metabolism slows down. Well, if you're stimulating your thyroid, it kind of speeds things up. So, that's why I think like nuts and, you know, sushi and all that is like really great, because it kind of like speeds things up, and, allows you to digest and process the food you're eating, and you get more nutrients and vitamins that way, I think. So anyway, yeah. So that's what I've been doing, basically walking, stimulating my thyroid, I guess, and obviously just eating clean and healthy. Like honestly, it was night and day going from like fast food to just store bought food. I'll make my own pizza, make my own burgers, make my own chicken. Hardly ever eat out. I eat sushi out basically, and occasionally I'll get like rice and chicken somewhere, but it's still fairly healthy in my opinion. The stuff I'm getting. But like fast food, I hope I never go back to it. Maybe I will, but I hope I never do. Um, and then on that note, I did start adding weights back into my regimen, because I I had seen someone, and they were like, "Oh, I think when last time you looked, you lost weight. You looked more muscular." I'm like, "Well, it's funny because my shirt size is bigger this time, but I think I had been, kind of neglecting the weight." So the funny thing about that, I started lifting weights, and almost immediately my pant size started going back up. So again, I'm not so worried about what the scale says. I'm more worried about the pant size. And I'm wearing a 30, and I noticed about a week after lifting weights, I was still in a 30, but they were like getting tighter. So I'm taking a week off. So I think it's going to be like a week on, a week off, a week on, a week off, because it's funny. I think the saying that you can't build muscle without gaining fat, I mean, I think that's like pretty much very true. So I think every time you're building muscle, I think you are going to gain some fat. So I think you're going to have to, hopefully, I don't know. I think doing it every other, hopefully I'm able to build some muscle. And then, when I lose my fat, hopefully I can do my best to retain that muscle, um, just by limiting my exertion. And, I did go for a run yesterday, but, I'm trying to kind of like balance things, I guess. So yeah. Um, So yeah, that's what I would say about losing belly fat. It's actually a lot simpler than I thought. Really, again, just walking an hour a day, watching what you're eating, cleaner food, and stimulating the thyroid, with healthy foods, nuts, and actually not really a fan of multivitamins anymore. Um, I'll take them occasionally, but I'm not the hugest fan. I think it's just much better to just eat a varied diet, and every single meal I try to eat something different. Fish, cod, haddock, chicken. I've tried liver, and just all sorts of things that I try to do something different all the time. But yeah, so that's pretty much my thoughts on losing belly fat. So I think I'm not really 100% where I want to be with it, but I am definitely with thinner waist than I have been in a long time, and it really only took about 2 to 3 months. Didn't take a long time at all. Just doing the right things, and yeah. So that's my thoughts.